Olo, welcome to Aural Hygiene. It's the podcast where we talk about educational films, experimental avant-garde films, and interesting documentaries. This is Matt. Hello, Andrew.
Hello.
And I've got a question for you.
I
If,
think I know what it
of
is.
course, you know what it is because I'm introducing this film. If footmen tire you, what will horses do?
Shit in the street. Whoops.
Yeah, I don't really have an answer for that. So
I
I
had to
don't.
look up what a footman was.
What's a footman? I didn't bother.
Footman is like a foot soldier,
Oh, okay.
And so if and if being chased on foot sucks, then how you going to deal with when they're on horses coming after you?
Oh,
And
okay.
when I
But
say they, I mean the communists.
the Russian communists with Cuban accents
That was all
that
over the place, wasn't it?
infest this film. Tell us a little bit about the synopsizing of this one.
Okay, well, this is a Christian propaganda film. It was made in, I believe, was it in the 70s, right?
Yeah, I
Mid
think it might have
70s,
been
like
70.
1970, and it was bankrolled by a guy who was um, like a big time minister, Southern, as you'll tell from watching the movie. Everyone has a Southern accent, even the foreign people have a, you know what I mean. There's a little bit of a twist to it. But it is a scenario in which he is describing in a sermon that I imagine he wrote for his congregation about what the future will be like when people renounce Christianity. And it's then an hour's worth of people being tortured and murdered. And had you seen this before?
No, no, you introduced it to me.
Okay, so I saw this through Nicholas Winding Refn's website because he has a bunch of archived and restored experimental things on there. And I've actually seen this in a public screening also.
That's fun. Yeah, the fake blood quotient's definitely notable in this one with the nice Dawn of the Dead, punchy, bright red blood.
Yeah, it's great. I don't know a whole lot about how it was made. I just know that there was an actual B movie filmmaker who was in a plane crash that he walked away from, like a small engine, like probably his private plane or whatever that he was flying. And after that, he became like a super holy roller and was made Christian movies the rest of his life and made a couple movies with this guy. And this was the other one is called like something like Are You Ready for Hell? Or I can't remember what the name of it is.
Are you
It's
ready
got a
for
few,
hell?
yeah, I can't remember what exactly it is, but this is the big one. Like the other one had the hell scenes are pretty great, but they're kind of repetitive. This movie has, were you shocked by it? I was shocked by it.
I don't know. I don't know if anything shocks me anymore. It's a little bit like a much more violent version of Red Nightmare or something. With
What's Red Nightmare? Describe it.
oh, that's one we did on this podcast several months ago, which is narrated by Dragnet dude Jack Webb, talking
Jack
about
Webb.
yeah, and it's funded by I guess Jack Warner was the living Warner at the time. So
Mm-hmm.
it was a TV production of this is what happens when you don't. In this case, it was like you're not doing your community duty. So this is what happens when the communists take over. So he goes to sleep, and his town is turned into like communist land. In that movie,
Yeah.
we're very cold in talking about what we need to do to serve the quotas, things like that. So
Yeah. Whereas this one, this is just bananas. I mean, it's like the ravings and ramblings of a lunatic delivered sincerely and like as though they were facts. However, you're seeing some really like, I mean, this stuff, okay, let's put it this way. If the things that happen and if footmen tire you were to all happen in a like horror movie or something from this era, that movie would be notorious.
yeah, but this one has the shield the shielding powers of Jesus to kind of help it out, right? But what's the guy's name? Perkle. I wrote it down here. I'm gonna perkle you.
Oh,
I always like to perkle up to a good book.
So yeah, that's the guy who he doesn't just narrate the movie, he's on screen a lot.
Right. It's, I mean, if not for all the blood, it would be a boring talking head thing.
Yeah, I mean, it would still be funny to listen to him describe this like nightmare hellscape that he seems to know a lot about. Like, who told you about this stuff? I mean, I'm not familiar with the Bible, but he cites the Bible a few times. But this shit wasn't all laid out in the Bible. There's no way.
Well, it depends on how you want to read it and which translation you've gotten. It
So
does
it,
matter what translation, because you know, like I mean, there's things like just where something in English sounds ridiculous and it's translated back to Greek and then maybe back to Hebrew and it means something completely different.
okay, but is it then? I guess this is a dumb thing to even ask, but do you think it's even fathomable that someone could have interpreted it this way, or do you think he's got like his own twisted? Like, do you think this guy's off his nut?
Well, if you want to interest, I don't know if you listened to this episode, but we did a Star Trek on this podcast with Jim Willis, who used to be he spent 40 years as a evangelical minister
Okay.
in I think New Hampshire or something, not down south. But and then when he retired, he's like, "What the hell was I talking about the whole time?" And now he's into like like Akashic fields and stuff.
Yeah. Well, we did that episode about the snake handlers. It was that true life thing or whatever it
Right.
was.
So it's that. I mean, you could see this church next week. You know, this week is his fire and brimstone surgeon and his sermon, and next week we're bringing out the snakes. You know.
Yeah. But I don't know what kept going through your mind as you were watching it. But the thing, and I've now seen this probably 3 times, the thing I kept thinking about was how does this guy know in detail how this shit is always going to go down unless he's the one who plans on actually you know what I mean? Like, he's trying to say this is something he's against, but he's actually like planning this shit.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
like rip the mask off and he's Red Skull or something.
Oh, that would have been an awesome ending for this movie. But but I will say, for me, the real star of this has to be the porn king, communist Nazi Castro guy.
He was great, wasn't he?
Yeah, I was almost like, oh man, I hope they just hired him from the outside because I don't want him to be part of this church.
I think he was an actor. In fact, it would be worthwhile looking him up because there's just absolutely no way this was the only movie he played a villain in. Because I mean, he just had, he had that face and that. Oh God, he was so menacing.
Your
The
Jesus
highlight.
didn't bring us any candy. You know, Fidel Castro never gave me candy either. I do have to throw out the other side of the coin there. Not once. Not even a piece of hard candy from Fidel Castro to me.
I feel like we should. Your notes are great, by the way. That's like just part of some of the most hilarious stuff that you wrote. I want to, for people that listen to this podcast that don't end up actually watching the movies, in this case, you would have to sit through about an hour long. It was about an hour.
Yeah, like 50 minutes
I,
of it. Yeah. It's a little longer
yeah,
than the average bear
but I feel it.
podcast.
Yeah, it is, but I feel it plays really well. Like, it actually plays like a B movie, like like an exploitation film. It
Oh, it
really
does.
does.
If you watch this as satire, which unfortunately it's not, but if you were to watch this satire, it'd be a pretty good one.
Yeah. I feel like we should run down some of the violent acts that happened in this
Yeah.
movie. What were the ones that like stood out for you in terms of like I can still remember this?
Um, Probably the like dozens of kids lying on the ground dead, covered in blood, because those kids were having a fantastic time.
I mean, it would have been a lot of fun if they'd come out around Adorville and been like, "Look, man, we need some kids that are gonna pretend to be dead." We'd be like, "All right."
I just assumed they had the church service and they all came out. Okay, it's fake blood time, kids. It's
I
like,
did. I
yeah.
thought that's. I thought that same thing. I thought, it was like, all right, now the church is making a movie. We need you to lay there. And they're like, hoo-hoo, don't laugh, Timmy, when we're casting your severed head. Which I'm not kidding.
No, you're
I'm
not.
not
That's why
kidding.
I'm laughing.
Yeah,
That kid stood his
they
ground though.
shoved.
He was hardcore.
He was. So that's kind of like the big shocker ending. But earlier in the movie, they have doesn't don't they shove pencils in one kid's ears?
Oh, they puncture his eardrum so he can't hear the word of the Lord.
That's right. That's right. Um, but
I
yeah,
mean, he
they
can't learn about communism that way either, can he? Because he hasn't learned to
no,
read
he
yet.
can't. Oh God, enemies of logic, these people. And then yeah, many scenes of these guys just with their machine guns, just like just mowing down everybody. Piles of kids dead. Um, like, what do you think's worse, Private Ryan or this?
It's been a real long time since I watched Private Ryan. This one has nice bright blood, and Private Ryan desaturates a lot, so I'm going to give it to this one.
Okay. But yeah, that's true. We did skip ahead, get it a little bit,
Yeah.
but one kid finally, one kid defiantly stands up to the main bad guy in his face, and he's got a cute little southern accent, all tough and country,
You
and
can't change my mind, hoss.
you ain't gonna ding dang come up in my ding dang ding dong. But for his troubles and for his effort, he gets his head chopped off.
Very quickly too. That I feel like there need to be a bit of sawing action to make that happen properly.
Nah, not with a kid. With a proper execution, you get a couple of blows in there, but with this kid, it just comes right off like a top. It's
Yeah,
like a
yeah.
pixie stick, or no, or not a Pez candy dispenser, just and it
So
rolls down.
you were asking about Private Ryan, but I think Clockwork stuck in my mind more as far as like which one would be more disturbing,
Is that right? Okay.
violence wise. We'll leave the sex content out because that's not in here really, as it's an event. I mean, they allude to it, of course, but hey,
They
you know
do.
what they don't show that. The whole scene. I wanted to see what was going to happen when the girl that went into the church went back outside to meet her boyfriend, and they didn't show that
That's true. Well, what
because
do you think happened?
he said he's going to pick her up, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So I want, yeah, that's why I want to see if she's like, I can't get no jalapeno with you no more because I'm with the preacher Jesus.
Yeah, and there was one part where someone's grandmother or their mom, it was like an old lady speaking
Oh,
from beyond the grave.
it was mom, but mom looked like she was like 92.
Yeah, okay. And it's this really prolonged thing of her talking about how her wishes for the younger generation.
So you can go piss. Oh, wishes are like farts. How does this work? I don't know.
You can go, you can shit in one hand and have cornbread in the other and see which one tastes better. Mom, that's not how that works. That is not how that goes.
But yeah, talk about a pushy mom. It's like I won't impose my views upon you, but that is how this sort of thing works, right?
I don't know. I don't have any real experience with like religious hypocrisy. I never went to church. I've I mean, yeah, weren't not saying grace at the table. We weren't raised, even though we do we did come up in the South, and definitely in the Bible Belt, and definitely where the Southern Baptists were. I guess it was because my folks, their parents were kind of like that. One side was Baptist, one side was Catholic, and part of their generation was kind of rebelling against it by letting us be free thinkers. I guess I don't know what that was, but as a result, yeah, a couple of heathens. So
Yeah.
I didn't have the traumatic experience or confusing experience that some did with religion in their youth. But as a result, I also am very uneducated about it.
I grew up. My parents went to Episcopal church. They both were, and they had gay priests 20 years ago. So they're not the most hardcore of religions.
Yeah, that was always the impression I got about that religion from you,
It
is
was more
that
just boring. Boring would have been the biggest crime there.
yeah. So, but as a result, like I have no real clue of how people might have responded that saw this. Like, do you think he held screenings at his church, or he tried to book it in other cities? I mean, there's not a whole lot of information out there about
I
this.
was hoping it was a big tent. Like, what was that Steve Martin movie?
Oh, God. I know what you're talking about, or more like the cavalcade of perversion.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather watch that. I don't know. This one, okay,
Yeah.
this one is highly entertaining. Yeah. It's like
Yeah, no,
you just
that's
have to
why I
deal with people
recommended
that
it.
think like this. Pretty
Yeah.
good.
I mean, I guess depending on your experience, you could find this really disturbing. I mean, and in a way, I guess I do, but it's all about context. I just thought it was ridiculous from end to end, completely implausible. But knowing some people thought this was going to happen, is this a Christian scare film? I mean, would you call it that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
I
This
mean,
is in close proximity to Mark and I doing a Jack Chick thing. So I guess we're having a revival scene recently around here.
oh, right. Well, yeah, this is a lot of this could be like Jack Chick's movie, right?
Totally. Yeah, this is a better. I mean, we watched like an animation that was made a little tongue in cheek, but
Yeah,
this is more true to his thing. So I guess I'll just read some of the quotes that I wrote down.
please do, because I could not. I mean, this stuff is just golden all the way through the movie.
I wrote down, "I'm a lover, not a Christian." That was a fun one. which means that when she came in, she would just tore up Babylon and up that church. Um, yeah, and then when she comes in, I was hoping he just does this like 24/7, like he's a robot that just keep the servant never ends. That would be pretty cool. But I like this one.
He's
Dancing is the front door to adultery.
out the back door.
Yeah, and then this could lead to something like a 2-year trial marriage. I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. That's not a bad idea.
Not a bad
Seriously.
idea at all.
I think in Star Trek, it's like the Ferengi, it's like 5-year contracts, right? So like
They got it
anything they could
right,
do.
man.
Yeah, really.
For real.
So I thought that we got your Jesus, didn't bring us any candy. That was good. Oh, and the last one, of course, I punctuated with, "Will you come? Will you come? Will you come?" you know.
A little grunt at the end there.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sure he I'm sure he did when he watched this movie.
Yeah, when he did the ADR, he was actually jerking it,
Yeah.
talking
Well,
directly to it.
yeah, that's always my thought with these things when it comes to these extreme content like this, especially back then, is that usually the one who suspects the most like underhanded evil, and the same goes for those guys that sat there taking apart the heavy metal lyrics, remember?
Right.
um I suspect them to be it's the old thing of the he who smelt it dealt it. The one who's like, oh god, somebody farted, is the loudest, is usually the one who actually did the farting. So I think, yeah, it would be reasonable to kind of go ahead and assume that this guy that made this movie was, I mean, he was messed up. He he had to have been the one to say, let's cut the kids' heads off. Someone had to say that. Someone had to go make a fake head of the child. Someone had to say that. Someone had to go stick a pencil in his ears, a kid's ears.
You know what's gonna shock them when we show them lynching the white people now? Because of course that stuff never happened in the South, did it?
Well, and not to use the term preaching to the choir, because, but I don't think this movie saved anyone.
No, yeah, like you said, right? So,
It
it's just,
repulsed people.
well, I see. My thought, the note I wrote was, Jesus is just all right with copious amounts of fake blood.
That's perfect. It really made me think about the Christian haunted houses. Did you ever hear about those?
No.
Oh my gosh, dude. There's a documentary about one or two of them. They were so extreme in their depictions of hell and suffering, that they actually upset people that went through them, especially some people that were like going through just as a goof, like, oh, we'll go to the funny Christian haunted house. And then they'll show someone, like two people screaming on hospital beds, both of them dying of AIDS. And one of them is saying, like, this one got to go to heaven because he renounced his homosexuality, but this other one did not, and they went to hell. And it shows it happening, like red light on someone. I mean, it was awful. And then people come out there going like, I thought this was just going to be funny and goofy and dumb, but that actually offended the living shit out of me.
That, yeah, again, cavalcade of perversions. I don't know. What would be more fun? One that's there to scare you or offend you? Yeah.
Well, a cavalcade of perversion, and this is where I think this guy could have really made some money instead of off of a movie, which was going to be made for watched for laughs for the most part. Like we said, it's not going to change anybody's mind, um, other than put you off of religion as opposed to get you to join. Like, what maniacs would make this and sign off on it? To have a tent show that actually like acted this stuff out and had plants in the audience of a kid that they could actually murder and things like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be pretty wild. That's this October, man. Someone's got to run with that idea.
God, they're basically doing the real thing, you know.
Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, when he starts claiming, you're saying he seems to know. He's like, I've met with God. I'm like, if God meets with you, you don't really need organized religion, do you?
Yeah, you're in the big time, man.
You got 1-to-1 there, so you're cool.
Exactly, man. What are you making the fucking movie for?
I put here that God's day is the simultaneous 24-hour quadrants that make up the time cube. That seems to fit the logic pretty well. And folks, look up the time cube. If you don't know it, you can read that thing for hours. And it'll never make any sense. And he'll tell you're an asshole because you don't understand it over and over.
Oh my God. Yeah, in a way, I wish this guy had made more movies. But as it stands, I feel like he only made 2 that I'm aware of that I've seen.
Yeah,
but the director, God, I'm going to say the wrong thing. It's not Alan Ormsby, because that's the guy that made Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. And that guy was not, but it's Orman, maybe. He didn't make a lot of big B movies. This kind of like happened like very early in his career, this plane crash incident.
Right.
But yeah, he walked away and walked right into the offices of maniacs like this.
Is that the first place you go? Yeah, I mean, because you have like, I guess he just had a shocking experience, not like a near-death experience, right? Because if he had a proper near-death experience,
there's not a lot.
Sorry, you might be glitching out. Dun, 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 dun. Are you frozen?
There's not a whole lot that I know. Yeah, no. There's not a whole lot that I know about it, but I do know that it was enough because he walked away, he felt like it was a miracle and he should devote the rest of his life to Jesus H.
Jesus H. Christ. Okay, Ron Orman. There we go. Sorry, I was looking up the info there.
Ron Orman. What did he make? Did you look him up?
Yeah, I just got his name. I can't tell you
one of the regular movies he made, but he made one that I think.
Let's see if we can get that. Maybe the internet's a little funky today. He's pretty old when he started making these. Oh, okay. He made lots of stuff early on. We got Untamed Mistress, White Lightning Road, Sped Up Cars, and Barnyard Babes. All right. Please don't touch me. Why did marriage have to be like this cruel ugly? Why couldn't it bring me the happiness I longed for? Please don't touch. Okay, interesting.
Did he make a monster movie or anything like that?
Yeah, it looked like he was making some pretty serious exploitation films. We got the Frontier Phantom. It looks like he did some country movies. I'm guessing there might be more country than Western, Girl from Tobacco Row.
Okay. Well, I think, though, this explains, and this would be the right era, because these are mostly 60s that he was making.
Yeah. He made 50s and 60s. Okay, his directing, let's see. He did Please Don't Touch Me, White Lightning Road. Okay, so from 1971, it's a Footmen Tire You, a documentary called The Burning Hell, The Grim Reaper.
That's the other one.
The Believer's Heaven, and 39 Stripes. There's actually 2 after that, so. There
Okay,
might be a few more.
Burning Hell is the one that I thought was called "If Are You This Minister?"
Yeah, and then here's a okay, swinging on into they got a 39 Stripes is like a chain gang story or something. So we got that. So actually, yeah, it looks like he's a pretty prolific dude. And in the 70s, the chain like he kept making exploitation. He just changed the focus of his exploitation, I guess.
Yeah. Well, you know, and I asked this question when I was talking to somebody about these Conjuring movies, because in the United States here they're extremely popular, but they are Godsploitation
Yeah, I haven't seen this.
because the heroes are religious.
I always have an urge to watch the Left Behind movies, but I feel like I'd feel dirty if I did that.
Mm,
It's like
I don't know. Like the time to have actually watched those movies would have been in the 90s, I think, before they were made.
no, the
Because
time to watch them will be in about 10 years when they've properly
okay,
dated to be highly amusing.
okay, yeah, because like I think
When
from like the Bush administration forward, watching the Left Behinds would have just been like, you know, they're too
well,
realistic.
you wouldn't want to watch Footmen in Nixon's America.
No, true, true, no, because you know we are actively now in a particular political climate where here they'd rather see the the religious right would rather see children die and their heads come off than sacrifice what they feel their freedom is, which is the
Although
freedom to murder people.
I do one plus is I do feel like the religious right has definitely kind of drifted out of the picture since about 15 years ago, since the Bush administration. I mean, because you
Yeah,
got people that are totally wildly freakishly off to the right now tend not to mention God nearly as much as they used to. I mean, it doesn't mean they're not
yeah,
assholes. It just means they at least took that little flavor out because no one liked that flavor anymore.
no, it's true. No, and plus all the old people that believe it now are dying left and right.
Right. So it'd be insane to, you find something new to rant about.
These dead people aren't going to vote for us. Screw them.
Well, like the Left Behind movies will probably become fantastic once Kirk Cameron's cocaine habit comes out, right? And just
Or when he becomes the president.
right. Or
We
it's not
laugh, but
it's not even a joke anymore, is it?
I was going to say we laughed at the other guys, and I don't think anything's out of the realm of possibility now. You
But
know, when you've surpassed Camacho from Idiocracy, you know you're in trouble.
that's kind of why this podcast sticks with more vintage stuff, because the passage of time does make stuff like this more amusing. I mean, this is
I
an
mean,
amusing film if you're game for some gore, because I'm pretty sure they weren't, going gallo and like killing people in here or anything. So
no, and I would
killing
recommend this.
minds, sure.
Yeah, I would recommend this to people who enjoy like 2000 Maniacs or Herschel Gordon Lewis stuff like that, or a lot of that 60s early gore.
Yeah, this
Because
felt
this really
very
brings,
much like 2000 Maniacs watching it, like it has
yeah,
the same
yeah,
vibe basically.
it does, and roughly the same budget, maybe a little higher because of the
Yeah.
costumes.
Yeah, it's just the intention behind the camera is somewhat different, but the end result is about the same.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to know if he really thought he would make money off something like this, but he probably didn't pay any taxes on it.
Okay, before we wrap up, I just got to get the other couple notes that probably need to be read here, which is premarital sex is awesome and you should know where to touch your woman. Because he's against both of those things apparently. Oh, and just for you, of course, there's Scooby Doo is the Antichrist. I don't even quite remember why I wrote that.
That's hilarious.
I guess because he was talking about how them cartoons are rotting them kids' brains for Jesus.
Yeah. Oh God, he's against everything. That sounds familiar.
Yeah, I mean, there's a website. I don't know if he's still. Yeah, I think he'd still post something on there. But for years, I'd go and look at one of those like insane religious websites just to see what mad rants he'd been typing recently, especially the
Well, there
music
was
ones. I always wanted to see what he had to say about musicians, right?
Was this Bob Larson? Reverend Bob Larson was, for a time in the 90s, very well known for attacking things like Power Rangers and the Smurfs.
No, I think this guy had a website called like Jesus is Lord, right? And it's just filled with rants. So very fun. I mean, okay, let's give the dude his props. He has some entertaining writing. So especially if you go to his music page, that's it. You'll spend a whole day reading that stuff.
Oh God,
it's like
I'm
reading that Peters Brothers video, right? So
okay,
yeah, it's like the red version of that. Actually, I think I'm gonna attempt on this podcast next week doing like a website as the main media as opposed to just a film.
Oh gosh, that would be a riot. Yeah. You won't get an argument from me. Do it, man, do it.
Yeah, that's gonna be for Chantex, if you know Chantex. It seemed to make more sense just to look at their website in the end. Take it straight from the horse's mouth and have some psychotic episodes and lucid dreams, which this movie will do too, right? This is kind of like the film version of that if you take it seriously.
I mean, yeah. I mean, definitely. I mean, this could give someone nightmares. I think you would, if you were predisposed to already being like sort of afraid of what people like this, the influence they will have, or getting a peek inside the mind of one of the more like out there sort of people, this could potentially bother you, but more than anything else. And I would assume if you're listening to this podcast, you kind of like weird movies. I would recommend this.
Yeah, definitely. It is entertaining. So just a very good like B movie with a layer of ridiculous fire and brimstone Christianity. Have you made any movies to preach the word yet?
We just preached the word of make your own movies, pretty much. I guess that's my cue to point people in direction of Gonzoriffic, Gonzoriffic. My friends and I here in Athens, Georgia, make our own movies. And our date for our yearly underground movie show is November the 12th and 13th at Athens Cine on Hancock Avenue in Athens, Georgia.
Alrighty, this is Aural Hygiene. You're already here. You know that. You can also find us on Twitter or Facebook or under the podcasting umbrella of Podcastius, where you can also hear me talk about sci-fi movies at Matt Luke's Sci-Fi Sanctuary, among some other things like Pokemons and football. That that I don't even know what that was accent I was trying to say that in, but soccer or whatever. It's because I've been working with these like down redneck accents the whole episode, right? Now I just can't work it out.
Yeah, I have to say, as a Southern person, if Footmen tire you is not going to do anything for the idea that the perception of of being from the Southern United States to people who aren't from here, the stereotypes, doesn't do anything to like help that whole thing.
All I gotta say to that is
blabba dab, Jesus Christ on a cracker.